Imagine a city of wood and paper, a sprawling metropolis where generations have lived, worked, and dreamed. This was Tokyo in the early spring of 1945. For its residents, life had already been reshaped by years of war. Rations were tight, the constant drone of planes was a familiar, unsettling sound, and the news from the front lines grew more and more grim. Yet, life persisted. Children still played in the narrow alleyways. Vendors sold what little they had, and families gathered in the evenings, finding comfort in their shared presence. On the night of March 9th, a cold wind swept through the city. The air was dry, perfect for a fire. As darkness fell, families across the eastern districts of Tokyo settled in for the night. In homes made of timber frames and paper screens, they huddled together for warmth, unaware that this night would be unlike any other. They pulled their futons close, spoke in hushed tones about the day's events, and tried to find a moment of peace. The children, tucked away and dreaming, were oblivious to the impending storm. For these ordinary people, it was just another night in a long and weary war, a night to be endured until the morning light. High above the Pacific, a different kind of preparation was underway. Hundreds of B-29 Super Fortress bombers were taking flight from the Mariana Islands. Their destination, Tokyo. This was not a typical bombing raid. Instead of high-explosive bombs designed to destroy military targets, their bays were filled with something else, thousands of small, incendiary clusters. The mission's objective was chillingly clear: to create an unstoppable firestorm in the heart of one of the world's most densely populated cities. The low-level approach was designed for maximum impact, to bypass defenses and ensure the incendiaries would hit their marks. For the pilots and crews, it was a mission. For the city sleeping below, it was the beginning of an unimaginable nightmare. Just after midnight, the first sirens began to wail across Tokyo. The sound, while familiar, carried a new and terrifying urgency. It wasn't the distant, high-altitude thud of bombs they were used to. This was different. The first wave of planes roared over the city at low altitude, their engines a deafening thunder that seemed to shake the very foundations of the wooden houses. Then, the night sky began to bloom with an eerie, orange light. From the bombers, thousands of incendiary sticks rained down, scattering across the rooftops. These weren't large, explosive devices. They were small, designed to lodge in the wooden structures and ignite everything they touched. At first, it was a collection of individual fires, a rooftop here, a shopfront there. Residents, awakened by the chaos, rushed out with buckets of water, following their fire drill training. They formed bucket brigades, a desperate, valiant effort to save their homes, their neighborhoods. They believed they could fight it. They had trained for this. But the scale of the attack was beyond anything they could have comprehended. Within minutes, the small fires began to merge. The dry, cold wind that had been blowing all day now became the fire's greatest ally. It fanned the flames, whipping them into a frenzy. Sparks flew from one wooden house to the next, creating a chain reaction of destruction. What started as hundreds of small blazes quickly coalesced into a monstrous, single entity. A firestorm was born. The temperature at the heart of the blaze soared to over 1,000 degrees Celsius, creating its own weather system. Hurricane-force winds sucked oxygen from the surrounding areas, feeding the inferno and pulling everything and everyone towards its core. For the families on the ground, the world had transformed into a vision of hell. The air became unbreathable, thick with smoke and superheated gas. The roar of the fire was a constant, deafening presence, punctuated by the collapse of buildings and the shattering of roof tiles. The familiar streets and alleyways, the landmarks of their daily lives, were now unrecognizable, glowing tunnels of flame. Survival became a primal instinct. The simple act of breathing was a struggle. People ran, seeking any refuge they could find. The designated shelters, often just shallow dugouts or reinforced basements, quickly became traps. The intense heat cooked the air inside, and the lack of oxygen made them tombs. Many fled towards the rivers and canals, hoping the water would offer salvation. The Sumida River became a focal point for tens of thousands of desperate souls. They crowded onto bridges, which soon became impassable, or waded into the freezing water, hoping to escape the searing heat. But even the water offered no true safety. The firestorm was so intense that it boiled the water in shallower canals and consumed the oxygen above the river as surface. The smoke was so thick it turned the air black. Even amidst the blazing light, in the chaos, families were torn apart. Parents clutching their children's hands lost their grip in the stampeding crowds. Cries for loved ones were swallowed by the roar of the inferno. Every decision was a life or death gamble. Turn left or turn right. Seek shelter or keep running. There was no right answer. The very geography of their city had been erased, replaced by a shifting landscape of fire and ruin. The instinct was to run, but there was nowhere to run to. The fire was everywhere. It leapt across canals, consumed parks, and turned solid brick buildings into glowing embers. As the hours passed, the raid continued. More waves of bombers arrived, adding more fuel to the conflagration, ensuring that no part of the targeted area would be spared. They flew through a column of smoke and thermal updraft so powerful that it tossed the giant planes around like leaves in the wind. The crews could smell the scent of burning wood, paper, and something more, even from thousands of feet in the air. They witnessed a sea of fire stretching for miles, a sight that would haunt many of them for the rest of their lives. When the sun rose on the morning of March 10th, it revealed a scene of utter devastation. 16 square miles of Tokyo, the heart of the city's working-class districts, had been incinerated. Where once stood a vibrant community of over 1 million people, there was now only a smoldering, gray desert of ash and debris. The smoke was so thick it blocked out the sun, casting a ghastly twilight over the ruins. The few structures that remained standing were scorched, skeletal remains of schools, factories, and temples. The survivors emerged from whatever refuge they had found a lucky corner of a park, a wider stretch of river, a sturdy concrete building that had somehow withstood the heat. They walked in a daze, their faces blackened by soot, their clothes tattered. They were surrounded by an eerie silence, broken only by the crackling of lingering fires and the cries of the wounded. They searched for family, for friends, for neighbors, calling out names into the smoky air. They picked through the ashes of their homes, searching for anything, any remnant of the lives they had known just 12 hours before. But for most, there was nothing left. Everything was gone. Homes, possessions, photographs, and countless loved ones had been vaporized in the fire. The human cost was staggering. In a single night, more people perished than in many of the most famous battles of the war. It was a night that changed the city forever, leaving a deep and permanent scar on the collective memory of its people. The firebombing of Tokyo was not just an act of war, it was the annihilation of a community. It was a testament to the terrifying power of modern warfare and its devastating impact on ordinary civilians, the people who are so often caught in the crossfire of history. Today, Tokyo is a modern, thriving metropolis, rebuilt from the ashes with incredible resilience. But beneath the gleaming skyscrapers and bustling streets, the memory of that night remains. It serves as a somber reminder of the fragility of peace and the profound human cost of conflict. It's a story not of statistics or strategy, but of families, of homes, and of a night when the sky fell and the world burned. Thank you for watching, and may we never forget the lessons of the past.